What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is CringeyJesse, and this is Formula 1 Manager 23. We are also going to call this the Cringy Universe because I'm hoping some cringy things happen in this universe. Like the Haas F1 team becoming championship contenders sooner rather than later. That is the goal of this channel on this game. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and sign that contract to become the team. Is it the team owner or the team principal? I'm not really sure. However, we are going to take control of a lot of things for this team. And we are going to push forward into making this a championship contending team. Look at that. There it is, the contract, I think. I don't know. It looks like one. Not really. Alright, first things first, we're going to look at a couple of things. Long-term objective, podium contender. Nah. We want championship contender. Season objective, 6th or above. How are we doing with that right now? Terrible. Absolutely terrible. We're P8. P8. That welcome aboard letter. I don't see anything that says anything about being team owner, which I doubt because there's a board. There is a board. Right. Anyway, first things first. One of the things that I learned late in the career of Formula 1 Manager 22 is I'm going to go ahead and design two parts right now. The first one's going to be the underfloor, 6.3. I think that's going to be a 3.2. 3.2. Thank you. 84. What is that? 42. I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm going to hope that I am not wrong. And we're going to go on over here. We're just going to bump everything all the way to the right, except for that bottom one, because that bottom one is new to me. And I'm not exactly sure how that works yet. So we're just going to leave that in the middle. Yes. And engineers, we're going to do 5. And that's a lot of money. But I do want them... I want them to understand underfloors for the future. So I think I'm going to go ahead and spend that money. Yes. Alright, and then another design we are going to do... Should I do the back wing or the front wing? Always... Front wing will definitely help with cornering, I do know that. And that would help with... Do we want to be faster on the straights? Which I went to the wrong one. The straights? Or the turns? We're gonna do the rear wing first, obviously. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put 3.1 and then 42. Yo, and then same thing. Oh no, balance. And we're gonna do balance, but then we're gonna do custom because we're just gonna throw everything over there to the right. Just throw it all over there. Just throw it all over there. Yes, sir. Next. All 5, and then intense, another 4 mil. But I think with better understanding of the underfloor, the front wing, and the back wing in the future, these things will be better. A month, which is, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna manufacture anything just yet. Looking at the calendar, it said a month, right? So, March. Where is the stuff? Is it right here? Yes, it would be ready for the Australian. So we're going to do the Bahrain, the Saudi Arabia, and then for the Australian race, we will have these new parts. That's when the new one starts. Research period opens after the Australian race. So a lot of things happen after the Australian race. Okay, so we might be able to do one more after this, and that would be the front wing. Yeah, the front wing. And then we should have, maybe possibly have all three of them for Azerbaijan. And then after that one, we can start doing research for the next season. That, my friends, is the goal as of right now. That is the goal. Facilities real quick. Where is race simulator? We want one of those. 100% we want one of those. A team hub, we want one of those. Where are we at? 4.7 staff? No, we already looked at staff. Car development. Everything is there. You know, hospitality was not built. We need one of those. Helipad for sure. And should we wait? No, we want a tour center for sure. For positive. Okay, so we should stay still high 2 mil. And yeah, so we're going to upgrade that one for sure. Yeah. Obviously, we're going to want everything upgraded. But we got to be smart with our monies. We got to be smart. Gots to be smart. And with that, that is how everything is going to start as of right now. I will see y'all in qualifying. And welcome to qualifying. One thing that I did a lot in Manager 22 was I tried to get my drivers out first, be the first ones on the circuit, the first ones to cross a line, to be the first ones to start the time to beat. I've always tried to do this to where they are spaced out far enough not to run into each other in the corners, and just hoped that no one came out to where we also had to fight traffic. And as we are starting our first laps, it definitely looks like I did both of those things right, as it looks like there's no traffic to compete with coming through the first lap. And as this series progresses, I'm sure I'll find bigger and better ways of doing things. But for now, just like my Formula 123 My Career videos, we're going to skip to the end of the first lap of Q1 as Magnussen comes across the line with a 132.7. And now Hulkenberg coming across the line with a 132.5. As of right now, I would say those are good times. Definitely good times. I don't think they are podium times, but I would definitely say good times. As we see signs, he's probably about to finish a lap. And everybody has now finished a lap as we are about to start our final lap of Q1. Not really sure if I needed to send them out. I'm pretty sure both of my drivers were safe in P6 and P7 here in Q1. But I just wanted to make sure, because I do know that Russell and Stroll and Gasly and Ocon and Hamilton and Guan Yu Zhou and Bottas honestly are pretty decent. All there. I don't know if that's enough to put me out for Q2, but I did. I really just wanted to make sure. That's it. But coming to the end of our Q1 laps, Magnussen down to P9 as Hamilton finishes P8. Hulkenberg still P7. We're going to watch Magnussen come up to P8, past Hamilton, past Russell. Our Haas in Q1 better than Mercedes. I will definitely take that. And now we are off to Q2 as Piastri, Norris, Sargent, Guan Yu Zhou, and Bottas will be eliminated. And as we start our first laps of Q2, Hulkenberg was actually released first, but we're watching Magnussen at the moment as he crosses the line to get his lap started to see how well we do here in Q2. We have Hulkenberg coming to the end of his Q1 lap, doing a little bit of struggling, I guess, against an Alpine. It would have to be Ocon or Gas. I believe, did Gasly not make it? Gasly did make it. It was one of the two. Hulkenberg, a 132.9 here in Q2. Magnussen, a 133.0, most definitely. Good first laps. Good first laps. A little slower than their laps in Q1, but can't complain, as we speed up just a little bit here in Q2, confirming our reconfiguration so when they go back out. Let's see, we've got Magnussen, he's definitely dropping down. Perez in P10 at the moment. Magnussen now in P11. He's in the danger zone. Hulkenberg not so much in the danger zone. Debating on whether or not we should put Magnussen out there on fresh tires or not. And dang, did it really take me this long to figure out if I wanted to go out on fresh tires or not? Jesus. We ultimately decided not to, as we send our drivers out for the last lap, their last laps of Q2. I might have released them just a little too close together, as Magnussen is trying to get a pull off of Hulkenberg. But like I said, I might have released them just a tad bit too close to each other. Throw my phone away because it's vibrating and my microphone picks up everything. But yeah, way too close to each other. But we skip to the end of the lap. Magnussen still trying to get a pull. He was better in the second sector than he was in his first lap. Hulkenberg P9 at the moment. Magnussen not looking like he's moving up at all. So as of right now, Kevin Magnussen is definitely eliminated. Gasly, Alonso both have a chance to take over Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg moves the P10. Gasly does not do it. So Kevin Magnussen is my driver eliminated for Q2 going into Q3. And here we are in Q3 as Nico Hulkenberg is about to start his flyer. There is another car in front of him. There might be a little bit of traffic that he has to deal with. But we are in Q3, and that's all that really matters, as I accidentally pause the race trying to look at my timings. But skipping to the end of Q3's lap 1, Nico Hulkenberg coming across the line to set a time of 1:32.8, which is a little bit better than the time that he set in Q2. Is it enough to stay out of P10, or will he fall all the way down into P10 as he is celebrating for having P1 for a little bit? So far, we are P9, which is good. We're definitely getting more than 1 point as of right now if we were to start and finish in this exact position. But we are going to go out, try to improve. Maybe we can get past Ocon or Lance Stroll into a higher point starting position in the top 10. As we get started, we also just skip straight to the end real quick. George Russell in front of us, a little visor cam action. I don't think I will be using a lot of that. But P10, as George Russell crosses, we cross and we do not improve at all. So it looks like it's going to be P10 for us. Verstappen and Perez starting your top 2, unless Leclerc can do something, because Sainz just finished and he could not. Leclerc also could not do anything. So your top 10 at the moment: Verstappen, Perez, Sainz, Leclerc, Alonso, who has a grid penalty, Hamilton, Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, George Russell, and Nico Hulkenberg.
Here we go with the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's lights out.
And away we go indeed. Magnussen, I put on a higher fuel load so that he could just push with gas the entire race. We're going to try that, as we have a 1 stop for both of them. Hulkenberg softs to mediums, Magnussen's mediums to softs. However, after recording and trying to piece all this together, we might actually show myself trying to figure out what the strategies are going to be before the race starts. The Hulkenberg up into P9, getting past George Russell. They are side by side here at the moment, with Yuki Tsunoda right behind them, and then Gasly. But it looks like George Russell is going to pull away a little bit. Nico Hulkenberg, actually, he's coming back. Still got that tire up to his back tire, and it looks like George Russell has finally pulled away, or at least pulled ahead, as we come into this really sharp left-handed turn here in Bahrain. No DRS yet, so nothing I can use to help myself out. As we skip ahead just a little bit to watch Kevin Magnussen, and the weight of his car because of that extra fuel is finally catching up to him as Alexander Albon is pulling into the inside to get the pass done on him out of the second DRS zone of the lap. Kevin Magnussen back down, or not back down, Kevin Magnussen drops down to P14. Nico Hulkenberg still holding on to points, barely escaping Tsunoda, as Tsunoda is just inside that DRS range. And as we are still watching Kevin Magnussen, and I'll tell you why, my roommate had came into my room at the moment to talk about something, and I left the game running, so we don't get to see this in live action. But as you look over to the scoreboard to your left, Pierre Gasly makes a pass on Nico Hulkenberg into P10. Nico Hulkenberg now P11 outside of the points. Neither one of my drivers is making points here at the moment, but we're only on lap 6, and there's a lot that can happen as Kevin Magnussen is, even with a heavy loaded car full of gas, keeping up with Alexander Albon, who is ever so slightly catching up to Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri up there in P12. But now that I am back and I can help my drivers out, there was a failed overtake in the last corner, but I told Nico Hulkenberg to keep pushing down into the last turn. He's almost side by side with Pierre Gasly, his front tire touching his back tire, but not actually touch. There was no actual contact, you know what I mean. Into visor cam as we see if we can get this overtake done, just to see how Nico Hulkenberg would see it, as his DRS is open, his ERS is activated down into turn 1, side by side. Hulkenberg getting the pass completed with more DRS to get away from him as we try to catch up to Lewis Hamilton and George Russell in the Mercedes, who are literally right in front of us. We are in their DRS range. Skipping ahead once again to some more action. Nico Hulkenberg back in the points. Kevin Magnussen down into P14. Him and Alexander Albon have both caught up to the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda. Down the DRS range, side by side with Alexander Albon, pulling slightly ahead of Alexander Albon, back into P13, and now Yuki Tsunoda is hopefully our next victim as we come down to the main straight of another DRS zone. And to go ahead and see what that is like as we are in visor cam, I like the red tint over here on Kevin Magnussen's visor. I don't know if that's his visor or the way the light reflects off of it. Hulkenberg failing to make an overtake on Hamilton, and Yuki Tsunoda just defending with his life over here as we do not get the pass done on the first DRS zone, or the last. This is the first, but we do have a shot at getting the overtake done here as we are now basically side by side with Yuki Tsunoda up into P12 by the completion of the turn. Kevin Magnussen was not playing any games as he just straight took that away. Still with basically 3 extra laps of fuel in his tank. Kevin Magnussen pushing the further we go up into the next DRS zone. We have Nico Hulkenberg trying to catch up and make a pass on the Mercedes. However, I just don't think he's close enough as Pierre Gasly is lurking in the background, and even a little bit further back, if you caught that, there was Kevin Magnussen also coming around, hoping to catch up and possibly get some points with Nico Hulkenberg if things can happen in that direction. Jumping up a couple of laps, we're going to try to help Kevin Magnussen catch up more as he's still 8 seconds. And we're going to have Nico Hulkenberg. He's still trying to catch up to the Mercedes coming around the turn. He's a tad bit closer than before. And what the heck was that? Did y'all see that car just teleport out of nowhere? What was that, an Aston Martin? As Nico Hulkenberg is now in 10th. It looks like Lance Stroll had a spin on turn 11. Is that the car that just teleported out of nowhere? As he did make a spin. He was ahead of everybody up there in P7. And he is now down to, I believe, P11 in front of Magnussen, which may help Magnussen catch up if he can get into that DRS range. However, it is Russell, Hamilton, Hulkenberg, Gasly, all in a DRS train. I was about to add Stroll, but Stroll is 4 seconds behind everybody at the moment. That just teleport in the back. Man, I hope that doesn't happen to my drivers. I'm not going to lie. Skipping up once again a couple more laps, you can see Kevin Magnussen is in that DRS range of Lance Stroll, but we're going to watch Nico Hülkenberg come down the front straight behind the Mercedes, just hoping that he can catch up at some point as we come down into the first turn. And Lewis Hamilton going wide around the turn, moving us up to P8 with Nico Hülkenberg. I did make a mistake earlier as Lance Stroll spun out. That moved us up to P9, not P10. We were already P10, but now we are P9 because Lewis Hamilton made a mistake and went wide at turn 1, giving us a 3.7 second gap ahead of him. Magnussen all by himself as Lance Stroll does go into the pit. Kevin Magnussen now P11, 6 seconds behind Hamilton, 3 seconds behind Gasly, and right now P7 Russell, P8 Hülkenberg, P9 Gasly, still in that DRS train as they make it around the circuit. And skipping to the end of lap 16, we're about to start lap 17. It says 17 up there because the leaders have already started lap 17. Side by side, Alpine's Pierre Gasly makes the pass on Nico Hülkenberg into P8. Hülkenberg down to P9, Kevin Magnussen P11, and Lewis Hamilton P10 at the moment. Now P8 again for Nico Hülkenberg as Sainz is coming out of the pit lanes. But with that Ferrari, wow, I can't speak. With that Ferrari behind the Haas, who now does have some DRS to try to help catch up to Gasly and Russell, that shouldn't last long. And as I am watching Nico Hülkenberg, I must not have been watching the race because now Pierre Gasly is side by side with George Russell, just a tad bit ahead of him, as he is now, still side by side with Pierre Gasly. Cringy, what are you doing? Watch the race ahead of you. Pierre Gasly pulling ahead of George Russell, but did he pull ahead too late? Only one way to find out as we wait for Nico Hülkenberg's camera to show us that George Russell is the one with DRS trying to make the pass once again on Pierre Gasly. Does he get it? No. Pierre Gasly was able to hold off George Russell going into turn 11, if I remember the turn number correctly from when Lance Stroll spun out. A couple of people have went into the pit lane now, as you can see Hülkenberg and Magnussen on lap 21, because we haven't passed the thing yet. We're about to start 22. Hülkenberg going into the pit lane just to see how far back that he falls, as Kevin Magnussen makes a pass. Ocon makes a pass. Pierre Gasly makes a pass. Tsunoda goes into the pit lane with Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen coming out of the pit lane now, ever so slowly, as Nick De Vries and Lance Stroll both make a pass. DHL top 10 fastest, only moving up to 13th though. Hülkenberg out in front of Hamilton by only 1 second. Only 1 second. Magnussen holding on to P8 with Gasly behind him. Ocon making the pass over Magnussen into P7, but no good as we skip a little bit later into lap number 23. It is Hamilton who makes the pass on Nico Hülkenberg after Nico making the pass on a gone wide Hamilton on turn 1 not so long ago in this race. Skipping up to 25, we are watching Hülkenberg, who has finally caught up to the AlphaTauri of Nick De Vries. Down the front straight, DRS open. No ERS really needed at the moment. I don't really see a need for it, as it is just an AlphaTauri. We take the inside line, Hülkenberg does, and away he goes, as he also has the DRS for the next DRS strip to get even further ahead of Nick De Vries. Moving on up into lap 25, George Russell catching up to Kevin Magnussen, who is yet to box. He's still in those mediums. He's got to box at some point, but for now he's P9 holding on to points. But because he has to box, he most likely will not be in the points after his box at all. I just don't think that's going to happen. Moving forward, lap 27, watching Kevin Magnussen once again, but that's because we wasn't really paying attention to what was going on behind us. Lewis Hamilton creeping on Kevin Magnussen, but Albon making the pass on Nico Hülkenberg in the same straight. We just completely missed it. Alexander Albon up into P12. Nico Hülkenberg just back down to P13. Hopefully things can still go the way that we need them to go so that Hülkenberg gets some points. Maybe even Kevin Magnussen catch up and get some points. But for now, Magnussen finally in the pit lane. Hülkenberg and Tsunoda making the pass. Albon in 10th, 5 seconds ahead of Hülkenberg. Sargent making the pass on Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen very slowly getting up there, but that's because, pit lane speeds. As we watch our pit crew do what they do best, and away that he goes, exiting the pit lane with a 2.7. And as we get out, it will tell us 20th to 18th. That was not good. Not good at all. We are the 18th fastest as of right now. And coming out of the pit lane as I fix everything, Kevin Magnussen down into P17 as Valtteri Bottas was the last person to pass him coming out of the pit lanes down the front straight. Moving forward to lap 40, more people had boxed. That's why people are where they are. Kevin Magnussen up into P14 in front of Albon. Nico Hülkenberg back in the points, hoping to hold on to that. Stroll, Norris, and Sargent 11th, 12th, and 13th. It looks like there's a bunch of people who have decided, if not everybody, has decided to do a 2-stop, and we only did a 1-stop, and I don't know if that's a bad thing for us or a good thing. However, the only thing as of right now that I wish I would have changed going forward, if I could have changed it and went back, would be the fact that I overloaded Kevin Magnussen's car with gas. Here on lap 42, Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin, who has spun out at least twice, finally catching up to Hülkenberg and the Haas to get into P10, taking the last point slot available. And if you look at it right now, if everybody finishes where they are, as Hamilton goes into the pit lane, and wondering where he's going to come out, I'm pretty sure he's still come out in front of us. But if everybody finishes, if the race was over right now, we have 2 Red Bulls, 2 Aston Martins, 2 Ferraris, and 2 Mercedes in the top 10. Only 5 constructor teams making points at the moment. As we come around the front straight, Hamilton still in the pit lane, and Lance Stroll is the next one to pass him. If he can catch up, he is coming. He is out and around the first turn. It doesn't look like that is going to happen, as Lance Stroll does cut us off from going on around the outside. Kevin Magnussen back in P14. 15 laps to go. DRS open on Lando Norris and the McLaren, coming down into turn 11, which is unfortunately the only turn I know because of the car that just teleported out of nowhere earlier in the race, making the pass on Kevin Magnussen, now looking to catch up to Alexander Albon. 15 laps to go. It can happen. Hülkenberg, if he stays where he is, can still get some points if he can get back in front of Lance Stroll, if that's possible. The Williams of Albon way far back. And as we look at the replay, because I had originally missed it, and it is very the inspiration on why I need to record in a different way. Kevin Magnussen makes the pass on Alexander Albon. We now have P11 and P12. Hülkenberg and Magnussen, our Haas is doing very good. Unfortunately, Magnussen is 8, almost 9 seconds away from Nico Hülkenberg, and Alexander Albon right on his tail, going down the front straight into the first turn. Albon has the DRS, but Magnussen doesn't defend as well as I originally thought he was going to, as it is now side by side. Kevin Magnussen and Alexander Albon. Alexander Albon getting the DRS once again. Can Kevin Magnussen defend? We have no idea, because we switched to Hülkenberg, who is now 2 seconds behind Lance Stroll. No idea what happened. But it also looks like Albon was held back. We skip a little bit forward, and this is one thing that I did a lot of, and I don't know exactly why. Albon makes the pass on Magnussen, makes the pass on Hülkenberg. Albon now P11, as both of my Haas drivers are next to each other, racing each other for P12. No points. I really thought about making one of them just not fight the other, but I wasn't exactly sure who I should choose to not fight the other, because it's the beginning of the race season. I want to know who the better racer is, as if I'm not mistaken, if this is like real life, both of their contracts in this season. So I would like to keep both of them in reality, but if one of them decides that they want to leave, I would fight harder to keep the better driver in with Haas. However, skipping forward to 3 laps to go, Kevin Magnussen catching up to the Williams of Alexander Albon in P11, taking the inside, side by side. He does get that turn. He is in P1. Does he hold on to the DRS? I'm pretty sure he does, and he doesn't, actually. Alexander Albon has the DRS, and now Kevin Magnussen has to defend going into the next turn, and he does defend well. Unfortunately, Nico Hülkenberg nowhere near the two of them, 4 seconds behind Alexander Albon. Skipping forward to the last lap, well, at least for the leaders, not quite for me yet, or my drivers, as Kevin Magnussen, half a second behind him is Alexander Albon. He's still fighting, holding on, trying his best to hold on P11, even though it does not come with points. The higher they finish, the better. As Sergio Perez crosses the line here in Bahrain, Verstappen right behind him. Perez is your Bahrain Grand Prix winner. Leclerc coming to cross the line in 3rd place. Norris crossing the line in 14th. Tsunoda crossing the line in 15th. Carlos Sainz coming to cross the line in 4th. Alonso 10 seconds behind the people in front of him, at least. He's coming across the line. P5. Logan Sargent, I believe, is the next across the line. He'll be crossing the line. P16, as there he is. Russell all the way back there, as we have someone else coming in to cross the line. Valtteri Bottas takes P17. And now we are looking at how close Alexander Albon is to Kevin Magnussen. As we go back to our finishers, George Russell finishes P6. Nick De Vries finishes P18. Oscar Piastri P19. Hamilton P7. Gasly P8. As it looks like Guan Yu Zhou is behind Gasly, and Guan Yu Zhou finishes P20. Esteban Ocon finishing P9. Lance Stroll, he's coming around the last turn, and as you can see behind it, there's only a couple more laps we could possibly catch and get some points, but we don't have any control over that. It is 57 laps set in stone, and with that said, Lance Stroll taking P10, the last slot for points. Kevin Magnussen behind him. When Kevin Magnussen finishes P11. Alexander Albon, Jesus, I wish I could get that straight in the first try. Alexander Albon finishing P12, and Hülkenberg, the last across the line, the last to finish, taking P13 here in Bahrain.
A great drive today from Max Verstappen.
This podium is something the whole team can be proud of. Excellent strategy and perfectly executed.
Well, they've been waiting for this, haven't they? And it's only right that they make the most of it. And onto the podium goes Sergio Perez, and he's certainly in good company there.
Their first win of the season, and the team looking on will be very proud, I'm sure.
And we've certainly kicked things off in style here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Now, Karun, I'd be really keen to know, how do you think the Haas team will be reflecting on today's result?
They didn't do too badly today. A pretty respectable outcome as far as they'll be concerned. But they need to keep pushing. They can't afford to sit back.
And that is about that for this weekend's action here in Bahrain.
The teams now look ahead to the next round, where they'll duel it out in the sand dunes of Saudi Arabia.
As we quickly go over the driver standings, Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Alonso, Russell, Hamilton, Gasly, Ocon, and Stroll are your top 10. That is the way the race ended, your top 10. We move over into the constructors. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, Alpine, Haas in P6 where we need to be, Williams, McLaren, AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo. That is your top 10, the only 10. But McLaren's Oscar Piastri ended up getting the fastest pit stop of today's race. Aston Martin getting the slowest out of the top 10. Logan Sargent making it up in the top 10, P9. Red Bull's Max Verstappen, P2. That is not how I expected it to go, but that is the way that it went. McLaren might have slow cars, but they do not have a slow pit crew. Your DHL Fast 10, fastest, whatever, McLaren in the top, Red Bull, Ferrari, AlphaTauri, Alpine, Williams, and Aston Martin, the only ones to get points. Mercedes and somebody else, and then Haas being the slowest. Kevin Magnussen with a 2.7 time, and a Nico Hulkenberg with a 2.8. My pit crew definitely needs some work. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit that like button. If you can't wait for the next one, obviously subscribe. I will be making more. There might even be another one out today. And until the next video comes out, I do appreciate your views and your comments and your suggestions. But until next time, goodbye.